Alright, let's just see if this is a one-off or whether I've kind of got this thing figured out. You can see the morning sun coming in. Anyway, some of the things that improv is and some of the things that improv is not. I saw online a little while ago that somebody or something, aka the AI, said that improvisation was making up things from nothing. And for all my physicist friends out there that might be watching, or could be watching later on, you know you can't make up anything out of nothing. You always have to have something. Matter cannot be made. It can't be destroyed completely. It can be changed in one form to another, so whether those things are so small. So improv is not making up something from nothing. Now, that being said, one needs to realize that one doesn't need a degree in all of these things in order to be able to improvise, to be able to pull from this little piece and this little piece and this little piece and this little piece. And as my ADHD suggests, which I've had all of my life, not just since I had a diagnosis, but I've loved learning about everything. Not to the point of being able to study any one particular thread all the way through, but cool. Let me learn about this, or let me learn about that. When I normally use books, or when I have books, I have them and use them as reference materials a lot of times. I won't usually read a gardening book from beginning to end. I will go to the end first and read up in the index, or the appendix, and go, which one of those words in there sort of excite me a little bit? Which one of those words kind of pop out to me, and then I'll go and research those page numbers that have that particular thing referenced to it. Or I'll have an idea about what it is I'm looking for, and then I'll start looking through the books that I have, or on here, on the little doodly doer, and then we'll kind of work from there. I'd like to try and post these every second or third day. Be really smart, really wise if I probably posted every day. But we'll see how that works. Being able to get a little bit of knowledge in a little bit of different places, I could probably do somewhat of a shout out. Now, I did do my little searchy thingy, and I said, basically, is it okay to have a shout out to different channels? And it said, sure. And knowing that I'm not necessarily stealing content, which I don't want to do, there's one of the creators that I follow that's amazing with a whole bunch of stuff that he does. Shri Tips, but he has his stuff written all over everything on his videos, on his little containers. He is a refiner of gold and silver and stuff like that, and I watched him do for quite a while. He's been around for a while as a YouTuber, just refining some of the metals that are out there and just making sure they don't go into the landfills and stuff like that. And really knowledgeable. But he's also made a lot of mistakes too, and he's also posted some of those. So, Shri Tips, pretty cool. The other one that I like, as far as chemistry goes, I've always had a thing for chemistry. I remember growing up younger, um, back in the days when you could actually get a chemistry kit for your kids, which were usually the older siblings, and they managed to just burn things. Burn things to find out how they smelt, burn things to see if they glowed or made a cool looking thing, and then usually the chemistry kit, which contained probably so many things on a watch list. Um, anyway, um, so yeah, so Nerd Rage, um, chemistry, Nile Red, um, Cody's Lab. Um, Even one of the first YouTube channels that I really kind of started watching was the King of Random. Um, and I want to remember the guy's name. I can't. But there's some of that, the chemistry stuff, the mining stuff, um, which I've always had an interest in. My mother had always had an interest in finding rocks, looking at rocks, seeing things, and what do they look like, and what are they in, and so a lot of these things I've been able to put into when I've done improvisational acting, or if I've done scripted acting, and there's been vague information. Act like a scientist right here. Do this little thing on stage. Do this little thing. It's like, okay, where do I go with that? Where do I pull that information from? And so it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I've done some of this. I've done some of that. I've hung out in labs. I've seen things. I've done stuff. So yeah, okay. So pretty much this kind of way or this kind of way or um, and so it's really been fun. So shout out to a few other people. Yes, one of the other ones that I really liked, and I loved when I first started watching him. AskJeffWilliams.com. Um, he had a beautiful persona. His beautiful persona of an old miner, and his hat and his whip and his buckskin coat and stuff like that. But what was most fun is when he started teaching stuff, and then all of a sudden that persona would kind of drop off a little bit, and the geologist in him came out. It was so fun to be able to watch him like explode your head with. You look at this vein and see where the volcano came up here, and it put all this stuff, and there the intrusions on the right, bringing these minerals up here and these things. And if you're looking for this particular mineral, you're looking for this sort of thing, and this is the sort of thing you're looking for with that, and this is like, and it's like that persona that he had. That is a wonderful persona. It's just hilarious to watch him do that. Um, but also, it's also just as fun to be able to see him. Well, in acting, it's called breaking the fourth wall, which is basically what we're doing right now, is I'm actually talking straight to the audience. And if you really want to think about it, when you go to a theater to see a live performance, or when you click on not just a YouTube video, but if you click on or you watch a movie, you ourselves are being very voyeuristic in the fact that we're not breaking the fourth wall. We're watching through it, but the actors on the other side don't necessarily see that. Um, Later on, I'll try and remember about discussing about how breaking that fourth wall. Um, well, actually, like him or not, I know I've had different controversies, but doesn't matter. Controversies will happen. People will like people for some reasons, and then they'll go, "Oh no, they can't do that because of this, or you can't do that because of that." But Tom Hanks, when he portrayed Mr. Yeah, Neighborhood, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So when he portrayed Fred Rogers, and then there was a spot. I haven't watched this for such a long time, but there was a spot where just Mr. Rogers, and I don't think it was Tom Hanks coming out. I'd have to watch that again, but Mr. Rogers being portrayed by Tom Hanks broke that fourth wall for just seconds. There was one little interview, there was one little thing where he broke that fourth wall. And it was just like, ooh, isn't that nice? Kind of gives you chills. So some of those people, um, sorry, I'm just getting rid of a cat here. Some of those people that are out there, and as an improviser, you need to be able to have a plethora of knowledge from different places. Speaking of plethora, one of the other groups I like is Words Unraveled with Jess Safaris and Rob Words. And it's just hilarious to watch them go back and forth about discussing some of the words and where they come from and how they're used today, how they were used before. I have a feeling or a thought or a bit of my own theory that even though we use words differently now, there's something within our DNA that still uses those words the way that they were originally thought up and used at the beginning of their creation. So oftentimes I go, I keep using that word, but do I really know what it means? And then sometimes when I do a Google search or an AI search, I will find that sometimes I didn't get it quite right, but then you also need to challenge the AI bot that's there and say, listen, are you really sure that this is the way this is, or you need to word the questions for the AI in such a way that they'll respond appropriately to you. If you ever find that your AI has, or if anybody that you ask questions to responds to you rudely, you need to be able to check and see how you ask those questions. Which sort of takes some of the teachers I've had in the past. They may think I'm being rude sometimes, but there's sometimes I don't get a concept on something, and so I do ask them over and over again, how does this work? What does this do? Where do I use this particular thing? For example, some of the math. When I was learning some of the math, balanced equations, it's like, well, can we put something to this so that I can understand it better? Which I am a bit of a visual learner. And if I can attach something to a number, that a number just on a screen or anywhere else is kind of meaningless to me until I can attach a number to it, or what that number might be doing, say for example in a program or a coding thing. But then I get to be able to figure out where that is. And so it sometimes took a very long time for some of those people that were trying to teach me. Sorry, I just took another hair away again. some of those people that were trying to teach me felt like I was challenging them. And it's like, no, I'm not challenging you. I just want to know how this thing fits in this particular part of the puzzle. That's all. And I think that's pretty much the other thing about improvisation is that you're using the words yes, yes, and. So whatever comes at you, you're responding to it appropriately. You're saying, all right, somebody's given me a suggestion, whether it's one of the people that you're on stage with or an audience member, because you've asked for something, you've asked for a takeaway from the audience. You said, all right, what room in the house am I in, or what kind of object am I carrying? Um, and then you get suggestions from the audience, and then you're able to incorporate that into what it is you're doing, the storytelling that you're telling, or the actions that are going on. So, knowing that, and knowing that there are a plethora of different things, um, some of the other things too or some of the other YouTube channels that I keep watching are anticipating Christ's return, because I really truly believe He will. Um, Christian Homestead, he talks about the return of the Savior. Um, I hope I get this right. The Thinning of the Veil. I've watched that channel a little bit. And the other one too, if you really want to know scriptures, um, Unshaken. Unshaken. Um, Jared Halverson is amazing. He goes through word by word by word by word. If you go to his channel and you take a look at them, and you find out just how in depth he goes into his interpretation and his taking apart of the scriptures, and then he'll back it up with other things too. So it's not his interpretation necessarily, but it's the way that he dissects this stuff. Um, it's just, again, it's a wonderful thing to be able to see that come out and put into place. Um, Nile Ridge, Cody's Lab. There's a lot of people out there that I keep watching, and I probably haven't named all of them. One of the ones, and I can't remember his name, but Wristwatch Revival, um, where the guy takes these miniature little machineries apart, and it's amazing that we, as a people, as a group, have managed to figure out how to make cogs and springs and things like that put together. These things are cogs, and mind you, shop clockmakers and toy manufacturers have done this for years. They have automatons from the 1700s. I can't remember just off the top of my head, but this automaton that's maybe about 3 feet tall sits up by a desk, and it will actually write out a document, and all from clockwork, springs, and cogs in a wheel. Uh, they're all put together. It just picks up its arm, and it does this little thing, and it writes out the document. It dips its pen into an inkwell, and it writes out this document, and it's just amazing. Same sort of thing, pulling in all of these informations, all of these little pieces and stuff like that. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it too. Um, apparently, apparently the algorithm for YouTube likes to have that little thumbs uppy thingy. If you click on that little thingy and leave a comment, I know that this seems to be haphazard all over the place, but we're gonna try and keep on working on this stuff so that I can help you gain more of a knowledge of what it's like to improvise um, when it is on stage. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Is improvisation is not just comedy. A lot of people think, oh, improvisation, that's great, that's good comedy, right? So it's like, well, it can be. Most of what people see, either on old YouTube or on the CW, is comic in nature. But improvisation can be very therapeutic. It can be very teaching. Um, in many cases, when I had been doing some acting for to test out how people were doing interview skills, things like that, that was basically improvisation. I was taking everything. I was taking the lead from the person either doing the interviewing, and it didn't mean that I didn't have that knowledge before I went in. I needed to have all of that knowledge that they would ask questions about um, packed away in my cranium someplace, so that when they did ask those particular questions, I would be able then to offer those particular answers so that they would be able to be brought to the proper conclusion. Um, Speaking of being brought to the proper conclusions, Penn and Teller's fool us. Always loved to watch them, even when they first started out. um, and the way that they became skillful in deceptive practices. Those are the words that came up. Um, but that's what it is for magic. It's always distraction, perception, getting the audience to come over here, looking at this particular thing. But again, that sort of happens on stage anyway, either with a one-person show or a two-person show, where you're wanting to set up a transition. So you get everybody, the audience, all focused on one part of the stage, and then the lights go down on that, and then the actor walks across on a dark stage to another part, which then signifies if they have costuming, they get to do a costume change so that it signifies that this person has changed either locations or that they've maybe even sometimes changed time, um, or even their characterization that they've changed so that there's a different place that means a different thing. But um, yeah, it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to do. It's a fun thing to bring all these puzzle pieces together. Another person to give a shout out to, Veritasium. Lots of knowledge there. Boy, lots of knowledge. um, Crash Course Science when it first started out, but these brothers have managed to do quite a bit. When I first started watching them, it was just Crash Course History, Crash Course Science, Crash Course, and now it's like, wow, you guys have actually done some pretty good stuff, right? And just wonderful stuff. So yeah, I probably haven't uh, touched on everybody that I keep watching, um, and but still, there's still more. Um, well, I'm noticing that this is almost about a 30-minute program, so chances are most of the ones that I put out will be, or at least in the beginning here, are not going to be very edited. And the location of where I'm at right now will probably change from time to time too. Um, It's great fun, improv. It's great fun to put puzzle pieces together. Um, it's great fun to be able to share the knowledge that a person has. And it's life in general is great fun. And dare I say, even when we're going through the hard parts of our life, that part is great fun too. In retrospect, not usually while we're going through it, but as an improviser saying yes to whatever it is that's coming at us, we might not need to say yes to it again afterwards, or hopefully later on we'll be able to realize and see where it's come from or where it's gone to, and hopefully we've learned something out of that one too. So anyway, thank you for giving me your almost 20 minutes, 25, almost 30 minutes of time. So I will try and upload this to the channel. Hopefully it'll work. If you're watching it, it has. So please like it. Um, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe. That will bring up the algorithm as well so that more people will be able to see it. All right. Thanks a lot. And we'll talk to you again. Bye.